Hello and welcome to another Train Sim World stream, and today, like it says in the title, I'm just going to be doing some short runs in the passenger stock. We've done an awful lot of freight running so far, and there's a nice wee variety of routes here. Hello there, Nick. And it will be the 146 as per your request that we'll be doing first. How fortuitous of you to be around when I'm doing this. So, going to start on foot, just so I've got a wee moment or two to do a setup and what have you. About 4 minutes before the train's due to go, I think. Right. Let's go get our train. Not actually been down here before. I tend not to do much of this when I'm just mucking around on my own. But we've got a train to catch. Do I have... I've got the 185. Which is basically the same thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we didn't get the 146 in Ruursig. But from the point of view of the cab, the 185 and the 146 absolutely identical, except the 146 has got the little destination panel thing on it. But all these other switches and things should already be on. That's fine. Make sure that door closes, because if it's still open it'll cause a problem when we try and embark the passengers. No worries, mate, thanks for having a wee look in anyway. It'll be uploaded as usual anyhow, so have a good evening, man, whatever you're up to. I'll catch you another time, dude. Okay, so make sure the correct lights are on. Just sit down in the seat as well, so that we've kind of reserved the service for ourselves. Make sure it doesn't just drive away under AI control without any warning. Right, so 2.5 minutes still to run. What I'm going to do for this run as well, I think, is I will have PZB turned on, but not Zifa. We'll leave Zifa turned off this time, and that's just so that it's more apparent when I press the button, and it does that. The only time I'll press that is because PZB needs me, whereas normally you'll hear that quite a lot. They also rolled back there for some reason. I forgot to put the brakes on, that's why. I knew I was looking over my shoulder for a reason. I now need to nip down the back and just check we've not cocked this all up, because we were awful close to a buffer down there. No, that's fine. I also need to be back in that cab within 25 seconds or we lose control of the train to the AI. Shite. And we're good. Right, we better get those doors open now. We can unlock them now. There we go. Oh, the other thing I want to do is turn on the FB. That's why it didn't engage, right? Oh, it's not normally this scrappy setting up. I seem to have done just about everything wrong there that I could have done. Am I the I've unlocked the wrong doors, haven't I? Right, makes no difference. Probably don't need that on. Get rid of that. 3, 4, 5. That should already be closed. Just make sure the train line power's on. Coach lights are all on. Everything else is okay. Right, we're good to go. So there's only 2 or 3 stops each direction now. I've not got that electric brake still on, have I? Nope, that's fine. So there's only 2 stops in each direction. That would help. Good grief, I don't think I've ever done so many things wrong on a departure as I just did in the last 2 or 3 minutes there. Yeah. Okay, so you can see a green signal. I'm quite happy to release myself from the active monitoring. Okay, so now we can just pick it up a bit. Give it a bit more power. These are fairly quick runs, about 15 minutes in each direction or something, 15-20 minutes. I've not actually done the ones up this end of the line yet. The ones I've done have been down at the Gmunden end of the line, as far as Bahn and then back. It's pretty cool though, you can spend loads of time just going back and forwards, switching ends, and you get about 10-15 minute wait sometimes at each end, but that's cool because you've got time to go and make a brew or whatever you want to do. But be paying attention to the signals though, because I haven't done this this end of the line very much. I don't know it particularly well. Hey, hi Stephen, how we doing, mate? But just doing some short runs, short passenger runs. There's a bunch of them where you just go about a third of the way up the line, turn around, go back down. They're pretty good. And certainly the ones down at the ones I did down at the Gamunden end of the line, they all involved a fair bit of PZB practice as well. Here we go. So need to acknowledge that and get ourselves down to below 85 sharpish. There we go. As soon as you're below 85, and just recover the power. I'm going to take it down a bit more because that was for a signal, so it's sensible to be at around 60 because I don't know what's round the corner. The next one could theoretically be caution. So in fact it's proceed clear and proceed clear with the diagonal part at the bottom. The fourth signal needs acknowledged, so there we go. Yeah, doing the same in this video, mate. I've not turned Zifa on for exactly that reason. It makes it more apparent, I think, maybe what's going on if I don't use it. Oh, no, he's not. He wasn't paying attention to my limits there, never mind. This feels incredibly slow because you can actually, from a fairly high speed, do all your braking in the last half kilometre in these trains. They're tremendous. Green yellow is the same as our double yellows, and double yellow is the equivalent of our single yellow, more or less. Yeah, they're essentially the same, but the order they can appear in can be a bit different, a bit confusing, because you can see the double yellow, you could see two green yellows stacked up on top of each other at the previous signal. You wouldn't. Aye. I'm still not very good at explaining some parts of this system. Guys like PTG Rail and what have you do it much better than I do. Basic rule of thumb is if you saw if there are, you can go from a double yellow to a red, but you can't go from a yellow green straight to a red. But a double yellow doesn't automatically follow it'll be red, because they do sometimes use them to slow you down and things like that. But it means be prepared for a red, essentially. That's their double yellow, not our double yellow. Oh my god. Only if it's a distant signal. This is a main signal and there's no distant component to it, so I can just go straight through without acknowledging it. Even a main signal on double yellow doesn't need an acknowledgement. Just to really confuse things. However, if it's a main signal and it also has a distance signal, a force signal attached to it, it's what's called a combination signal, then you need to acknowledge it if the distant part is showing anything other than green. If the distant is at green in the main section, the top half of it is showing you yellow somewhere, you're fine. So that's the distant part, the diagonal bit. Sometimes on its own, sometimes nailed to the mast underneath the main. That's the thing that I think really confuses people about the PZB system and the German signals, is because they can stack their signals one on top of the other the way they do, with the distant and the main part. It is really disorientating if you're only used to ever seeing a single signal at a single on a gantry per line. Although if you've ever driven on any train simulator that uses the old semaphore signalling system in this country, that's basically the same dealie. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter if you've not seen it by the time you get to the main signal, it'd be too late to do anything. It's the force signal. Force signals can never be read. Only main signals can be read. And if the distance signal is double yellow, then the next main signal could be a red. But as I say, they stack them on top of each other and it confuses the hell out of everybody. This is just a wee diddy train. These are wee short ones. It's just a two carriage, two coaches you're pulling for the ones at the other end. Oh, I forgot to turn my destination board on. What a tube. Eigenbrücken. There we go. I knew I'd forgotten to do something at the start. I think Heigenbrücken's one where the platforms are on either side as well when you come in. Right, I did close my throttle, that's fine. Lock the doors. Right, Heigenbrücken, here we come then. I think we just turn around and go back. Certainly that's what the shorter services do on the other end of the line. So, no form of PZB monitoring in places. We leave because we weren't under any when we stopped. Might come across it coming into Heigenbrücken. You get it used a lot on the if you do one of these runs between Lorban and Gemünden, you get a lot of PZB because it actually puts you onto the wrong line for a while heading in, and it uses signals to keep you down to 60 kilometers an hour. Actually, I think 50 is the regulation speed for wrong line running on these lines, but I'm sure I read that somewhere. So this is the big uphill climb now. It was such a nightmare to do in that big heavy train back in the first. I think it was the first of the videos I did on the route, was the uphill climb. Absolutely no bother though now. So there's a speed limit coming down to 110. Again, nothing to acknowledge. The only time that PZB comes into play on the speed limit changes is for drops under 100. There was one feature I'd like in service mode, the ability to accelerate time to the next service. Yeah, that would be handy. Sometimes it's, I mean, it's alright if you've only got 5 minutes or what have you, but sometimes it is quite a long way. So again, it's the distant part I'm reacting to. Put the brakes on way too hard there. Okay, so that was freight train braking I was doing there, man. And it being for a signal, I'm keeping it down to a sensible-ish speed until I see the next one. As for all I know, this is shoving me up onto a wee sidey platform somewhere. So next signal is still showing me a pair of stacked proceed with cautions. Yes, there was PZB required there, and I was too busy reading the message about PZB as I went past the signal. So if you get popped by PZB, it's easy, just release yourself from it. Come on, stop, because we're on this bloody hill. Set your brakes, close your throttle. Once you've cleared the PZB thing here, it should just be a case of release your brakes and power away. Remembering that you will be in restricted mode because of that. So 45 is your limit. Let me just see if I can zoom into this screen here. Yeah, 45 kilometers per hour in restricted mode. Which I have to stay in as long as the 1000 Hertz magnet is active. Did this on purpose, man. It was a wee tutorial for getting underway with a PZB stop. So if I was to go over 45 while I'm still under restricted monitoring, I'll get another one. I'll get another penalty application. All you can do when you're under restricted, it won't let you release it either from restricted. And that's because we've got a red up ahead. 500 Hertz magnet will come on in a minute. Or should have done. Oh, no, I'm going across, yeah, right, I'm wrong line running. I think. Yes. Now, in real life, a driver would know before he was coming up here that he was going on to wrong line running. This is the first time I've ever did this, and I had a hunch, but fuck! I went past another signal without acknowledging. Right. Caveat is I'm not normally talking this much when I'm trying to do this. And this is the second time I've done wrong line running as well. So what we'll do is I think we'll get this one done, and then knowing what we know now, we'll be a bit more careful on the way back down for a start. We've got another 10 minutes before the return service is due anyway. So what this might actually do as well, this might actually bugger up the dynamic traffic a little bit, just to make things a wee bit more interesting. Never ever be 100% sure I'm going to do anything that I should, mate. I've said it before, I just know what buttons to press. I never claim to be any good at it. This is the most PZB hits I've ever had in one run as well. It's going to happen, it's always going to happen when I'm streaming the damn thing, innit? Don't worry, I got this one, man, I got this one. So, acknowledge the distant part of the signal. Well, the main part didn't need it, but the distant did. We'll be more careful on the way back out as well. Oh, not lock, unlock. So we'll just let the passengers get off, and then we've got about 5 minutes to do a setup, go for a wee wander around the station, maybe have a wee look. Yeah, well, there is that, man. You get to see, I suppose, that sort of thing. And you also see what happens when you get too complacent about it, too cocky and too sure that you know what you're doing. You start not paying attention to the line, and as soon as you take your eye off the line, that's what starts happening. That is why I very, very rarely have these cameras active while I'm on the out on the line. I've learned that the hard way from going blasting past 4 signals that I didn't know about, things like that, speed limit sign changes. Or change signs even. Duh. Okay, so loaded up. Lock the doors. Let the scenario finish. Oh hell, it's supposed to go now. Right, we're going to be late going back then. Should I open the doors from? Yeah, we'll open the door. We'll open the doors. Run down the back and do the cab setup, and then we'll only be a little bit late getting away. And just make sure anything you turned on up here you turn off again, otherwise it'll bugger up with the controls down at the far end cab. And we'll just put the lights to... should just be the signal lights that are on, that's fine. Run, run, run! Might just about get away with this. Give me a seat. That's what I was worried about happening as well, was the AI stealing the train. Right, gonna leave that turned off. No point locking the doors until we're ready to go. Fucking click spots are too small. This crap should all already be on, but just to make sure. Yeah, that is supposed to be on, isn't it? Fuck's sake. Okay, so there's nothing to acknowledge there, because it was only the main part that was showing me anything yellow. The distant was at green. And as long as I stay below 45 while I'm restricted, we're good. Not that one, that one. We'll just release ourselves because the distant was at green. Nope, that's right. If there's you can have multiple reasons to press it within a very short period of time. Who the fuck's the wiper control on this thing? Okay, I think that's the only tunnel on the route as well, so we can be without the light. Yeah, it's like there's a section further back along the line heading in this direction where you get hit with potentially signals and speed reduction signposts that all need acknowledged on a stretch of track that's about 800 or 900 metres long. You might have to press it up to 3 times, I think, going through that stage, depending on how the signals fell for you. We'll see what the time's like for waiting to go back the way, and we'll try and do another run and see if we can do it without so many cups this time. And of course, now that we know that wrong line running is a part of the operation here, you can be prepared for that, and you can do it much more smoothly than the first time you do it. First time doing it on Ruhr Sig went horribly wrong as well, I'll be honest about that. So even these really lightweight passenger trains, they want to run away from you going down this slope. Right, we should make up the time we lost on the faffing about on the way out, and hopefully make it back on the way back in, because we were only about a minute late overall. I thought it was going to be a later departure time, because if you pick that service from the menu mode, it's a 9:39 departure. I wonder if it just does it depending on when you get in then. But it can't, because it was giving me really long waits at the other end when I was doing these. Oh, I don't know. Oh. Yeah, the throttle on these things is a pain as well. These ones you have to kind of close and then open the throttle again after you've had the brakes on. Which is fine, but it's completely different to how the cab at the other end works. So it does get confusing sometimes. Right, we'll just put the boot down because we've no reason not to. Just watching for the signal coming around the corner. Oops. A slight downhill. Not enough that the train will suddenly go streaking away from you, I don't think. He must be going the full distance. It's one of the longer trains that goes all the way to Gmunden. So it's quite good. There's services of all lengths on this this route, it looks like. I think the ones I was doing between Gmunden and Lorban are actually slightly quicker than this one. But neither of them are particularly long. And I think it's maybe about 40-45 minutes to do the complete length ones with the stops. Maybe slightly longer. And about half an hour to do the non-stop freights. Oh shit, wasn't watching when I was meant to stop. Oh, for fuck's sake. I think just about everything that could has gone wrong today. God damn it! All I want's my flaming cab view. Right, there we go. Literally never done as badly as this. Good gravy. I wasn't paying attention to the numbers in the corner, mate. I was oh, dearie me. Right, yeah, we're definitely having another run, because there's no way that I'm ending on a note like that. And it's put me under restrictive monitor, and I think that's because I was reversing down towards 1000 Hz magnet earlier on. I haven't quite figured out how PZB behaves when you're reversing, to be honest, because I haven't done it very much. there's one or two scenarios on reverse ignored where you reverse in and out of sidings, but never had to deal with PZB going in reverse before, so it was kind of new. Yeah, I was kind of waiting on it slamming on me there, basically, again. But definitely I decided I was getting sent off under restricted monitoring because of whatever I did back there. At least I remembered to check the PZB lamp before I did anything. I did one thing right the whole flaming run. Override on the left is not the same as release. Release is when you're in restricted mode, starting under restricted mode, or when you've been through a speed limit change, for instance. When the restricted monitoring lights, the yellow strip here, and the 1000 Hz light go out, you can then release yourself from PZB monitoring. Override is slightly different. I've had to use it once on reverse ignored, and all it is for going through reds. If you have contacted the signal box and got permission to go through a red with caution, you would need to hold the override button down as you went through. So it's used to bypass 2000 Hz magnets, basically, and it only works below, can't remember what the speed limit is. Ah, crap, I put the emergency brake on this time, didn't I? Is it going to let me away with it? Yeah, it lets me away with it. There's no buffer on the emergency brake on this train. Sometimes you pull the lever and it'll stop for a second before it goes any further. What the fuck have I been stopped by now? Jesus Christ. Right, there was... do you know what I got caught by this time, man? This was the same flaming speed limit change that got me yesterday. Oh, right, just consider this a practical lesson in every example of PZB trapping you. So that, what you were talking about earlier on, where you said you've been caught, we acknowledged the signal. That's what I did, I was fine. I have also driven past the speed limit sign at some point, which I have not acknowledged. I think has been part of that. Don't know why there's a 500 Hz magnet on, though. Why is there a 500 Hz? No, wait. Oh, wait the now. I know why there's a 500. Because there's a speed limit in here. This is something I've found going the other way. Again, I need to find out more, a bit more about this, but the 500 Hz magnet seems to be used as part of the wrong line running procedure as well. I came across one that didn't make any sense. Let's just crawl our way in here and see what happens. Aha. See, if I'd been down to 40 kilometres an hour coming in there, it'd have been fine. Which is what I really should have been for the signals I was being shown. For getting a double yellow, you should be down to about 40, and I would have been absolutely fine for every every other limit there. I'm still confused about the 500 Hz magnet. But if I'd been going at the speed I should have been going, that wouldn't have happened. Hi, Infinity Flight. Welcome to the stream. We're just having a master class in how not to use any of the systems on these trains. Just to compound the joy, we've got absolutely no room to make a mistake down here, because the whole train just fits in this platform. Right, we're definitely going back, and we're definitely not making as many mistakes this time. And now that I know that there's wrong line running involved on both ends, I'll be a bit more aware of that. Again, this is stuff a driver would be told before they went out. You know, you're going to be going into this wee platform on the other side. You're going to be on the wrong side. They would know all this from the... If not from a briefing before they went, then these blank screens that we never get to use have additional routing information and things like that. So, yeah, I'll take my share of the blame for going a bit too quickly coming in that last section, but the game could have prepared us a bit better for what just happened there, I feel. Right, let's see how long it says before the next departure. .10:09, so we've actually got quite a long wait to go. So what I'll probably do is actually just restart this service instead of, yeah, I'm not waiting for nearly 20 minutes for a train. We'll go back to the main menu. And we'll redo that one. Right, so I think I just started on foot there, didn't I? Okay, so if I go a bit quiet this time approaching the end, it's because I'm bloody concentrating this time. A lot of that probably was down to me just not paying attention as well. It will punish you if you take your eye off the ball for even a second, if it happens to be the wrong second. Might do some transpenning later on. Don't have to worry about all this bullshit and those things. I know I don't have to turn it on, but that's not the point. Okay, so let's go and get our train. Wonder if this is as sparse and empty, because Reading feels awful sparse and empty on the Great Western, but if you actually go there, the concourse is covered with like little shops and stalls and things. A bit less ghost towny. Okay, so the batteries and everything should already be powered on, that's fine. We're just here to turn the tail lights on. Don't really want to sit in the driver's seat if I can avoid it, thanks. Signal lights to normal, that's fine. absolutely pointless things to play with on this as usual. So just confirm that we've got reds, that's fine. Make sure those are locked. If you leave a set of doors open and then operate the door controls, I don't know about on MSP, but previous routes it could bugger things up royally. You always had to go back and shut that door manually. So just check the circuit breakers on, closed, and the train power's on. Brake handle on. Don't need that. Time are we due to go? So we've got a wee minute in a bit yet. We can just unlock the doors now though. Oh no, it's not the right hand ones, is it? Why do I always do the right hand ones when I get on? That's what I did last time as well, right. So, those are... Right, so it won't actually set because the service hasn't started yet. So we could set it manually. I can barely read it. There is a dedicated screen for it as well. What's it called? Destination panel. So you can set it yourself if you want. There we go. Eigenbrücken set. So again, we'll turn PZB on, but we'll leave CIFA turned off. Yes, I want to take control of it. Already bloody had control of it. Oh, who shut the doors? God damn it. This is... You gotta sometimes be careful getting out your seat. Around time that the service is due to start, because it will reset some of the controls and things, and it's a pain in the bloody arse. Of course, making sure the parking brake is off this time, which it is, because it was me that turned it on last time. And what I'm going to do as well, just better safe than sorry, because the computer had brief control, I'm just going to toggle PZB so as to ensure there's no little gremlins with it. Right. I did set the lights to it, yeah, that's fine. So, move off under restricted monitoring as always for the start, with a speed limit 45. And we'll just cruise on out. Nothing to acknowledge. I am going to press the button just to check that I still have control of PZB, which I do, that's fine. I have had some problems with it before when computer control has been taken over and then taken back. So I'm just going to release from monitoring now, because the active component had gone and I could see the green signal. Useful as well if you're using PZB with AFB, just to have your cursor over the AFB lever, so that you can adjust that quickly as well. If you suddenly need to reduce that because of a signal or what have you, and you can't remember where the hell your cursor is, you lose yourself precious seconds. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm not going to agree with it on the stream either. My kids know I do this. Trains are bad enough. It's truck sim I want, man. I would love to see truck sim. But to be fair, if the bus one's done properly, it could be quite good. I'm prepared to give it a go. I quite like these kind of games. I've spent an obscene amount of time with Farming Simulator as well, and if you've got a good city builder or strategy game, yeah, please, I'll have some of that too. So yeah, I probably will play that. The one that you're talking about, I think, I would like it to be good, but it looks like it's a first attempt from a company with a, well, I want to say a track record, but I'm not sure of what. I would like it to be good, but we'll wait and see. Right, so because that was signals, I'm reducing to 60 here. I mean, I really hope that truck driver game is good. I've seen wee bits and pieces of it. But we'll wait and see what it looks like. So it's 60, even if I come across a 500 Hz magnet, I do have time now to brake. But I shouldn't. The next magnet that I should come up against should be 1000 theoretically. Don't need to acknowledge that thing I just went past, because that's only a repeater. Do need to acknowledge this because of the distant part. And I now actually at 40 kilometers per hour you satisfy every requirement for a 500 hertz magnet. So yes, ETS I would very much like to see. Funny, the main reason I always saw the ETS devs given for not doing it was more because, or the excuse they always gave was the control complexity. They always reckoned they couldn't put a game with that many buttons on a console. I've seen them say that on their own forums. Although I can quite believe that about the technical issues as well. Why they wouldn't just say that though? Who knows? But yeah, ETS. I know I've played that. I know it's a decent product. I would back that. You know what I mean? I would confidently buy that one, I think. Right, lock the doors, and we'll be moving off under restricted monitoring because we stopped under monitoring. So we'll leave the AFB at 40 because our initial limit will be 45. Don't need to give it much welly either. Don't need to acknowledge this as we go through because it is just a main signal. Just a main signal. There's nothing there that we need to react to. And as soon as I see greens up ahead, assuming it lets me, I will release myself from restricted monitoring, which it's already done. And now that the rear of the train's cleared the restricted part of the line, let's go. Right, so this is where I need to be concentrated because we're going on to the other line in a very short while and we will be getting slowed down for it. Right, we can do this one. We can do this. Ah no, in fact, Laufach's the second last stop in it. This isn't the one that's going to be taking us all over the shop. It's fine. Nice. Right, so far so good. Quick smoke to calm down before we go in here, man. That might have been the problem the last time, actually. Right. Oh, probably don't still want that away up there. Okay, let's get underway, and then as soon as we're sure, never assume that you're not going to be under active monitoring, by the way. I have had it come on under really bizarre circumstances that I don't really understand before. And I don't know whether it's a bug or that's done it or what. It doesn't happen very often, but very occasionally you will pull away with the active monitoring on for reasons known only to itself. And professionally trained drivers, I guess, but as far as I'm concerned, only to itself. Right, so we've got a fair wee bit to go, that's fine. So as long as we know there's a possibility of the wrong line running at the other end, we're all good. It's when you don't know about these things in advance, it gets a bit interesting. I genuinely thought that red signal the first time was for me. I was about to stop and we'd have still been sitting there waiting, man, if I hadn't tumbled what it was actually trying to make me do. I feel the briefings for these scenarios could be a little bit better, just a little bit clearer what you're going to be finding. Again, these dark screens that we don't use would tell a driver some of this stuff. Okay, so taking it down to 60 because of the signalling conditions. From the top of my head, I have seen a manual somewhere, a driver's manual, German one, that gives 60 kilometers an hour as a speed if nothing else is indicated. So both signals proceed with caution, so we acknowledge that one. If the distant had been clear, you could have ignored it. That doesn't happen very often though. Usually it's the other way around. So crossing onto the wrong line, or onto the oncoming line. If you're running the wrong way down the line and there's a signal facing your way, then it's yeah, there are signals for these stretches of line, and they do need to be acknowledged if necessary. The magnets will be on the left-hand side of the track. And I think it's almost standard procedure if you're doing wrong line operations that you'll always be running under the proceed with cautions. That's to restrict speeds and things like that. That's my understanding of it anyway. If by any chance a real life German train driver sees this and wants to correct me, then by all means, I'm always happy to know more about the thing that we're doing here. You know you played far too much train sim when you can find the light switches in the dark. And up ahead we have a double yellow, a proceed with caution. So that will need acknowledged, and we also need to assume there'll be a red signal behind it. Being in Modo, I'm already meeting all the requirements for a 250 for the 500 Hertz magnet, which will be on for a red. It's not going to affect us. So unlike last time, I think we've actually got a couple of minutes respite to turn the train around. A bit less of a panic this time. Okay, so that's the end of the outbound. Far less drama this time, that was much better. 9:34, so we've actually got a few minutes now to turn this around. So turn the switch off, just make sure all the levers have been been released. Anything that you've turned on in the cab, remember to switch off. Come on. GZB and set that to tail lights. They've come on, that's fine. We'll just head up the other end now. Automatic station. Don't actually know, to be honest with you. I can't remember. I've not played it for a while. I didn't really pay attention. Do you know what? Can I have a little look after this? I've not done Long Island in ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. Let's maybe show that some love. While we're here, I'll leave that off just now because AI dude will be taking over. Let's go for a little look around the train. So some people stay on it. I don't know why. We're just going back the way we came. Maybe they just like riding on the trains. Ooh, TVs and stuff. There's things to... Oh. Alright, light switches and things to play with and heaters. That's kind of cool. Right, better get back up to the cab because AI will be wanting to take over in a minute. Okay. Suppose we can just open the doors up now. They maybe got it on the PC. I don't know. Maybe one of the things they took out to save space. I spend most of my time in the cab, to be honest with you, mate, so I don't really... I don't really know what's in it and what's not, in terms of wee outsidey things like that, really. Okay. Now that the service has started, if you just press destination service, it'll automatically set it to Schaffenburg for us. And that's not the one I want to do, that's the one I want. And everything should be on. Just circuit breakers on, train line should be on. Oh, in the train? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I've never noticed it there. You can't hear it from the driver's cab if they do, mate. Okay. Oops. Damn click spots. Turn PZB on. And let's go. So the main component is proceed with caution, but the distant part's green, so nothing to acknowledge. But because we've turned around and we're going back the other way, it's effectively a fresh start for the train, so PZB puts us into restricted. But because of all that lovely greenage in the signal, I'm just going to release it and go. Seen it and heard it from the engine. Maybe it is, mate. I've never noticed it. Or it might be something that they've added in a patch, because I haven't played Long Island in quite a long time. It has to be said. I think there has been some patches and things for it since I last touched it. Right, so I think this is a fairly straightforward part, just being careful not to overrun the speed limit on the downhill. I have had that signal be proceed with caution on me before, so it can happen coming down here, so not on this exact service, but the different times a day I've had it in a freight train. Holy shit. That was when I discovered that you need to use mode U for certain trains because mode M just don't cut it. And the distance markers there just marking down to a 4 signal. A little dab of the brake. And then of course whenever you've had the brakes on the cab cart, you have to turn the throttle off and back on for it to engage. Okay, so we're a little bit earlier on the braking just because we're coming down that hill. Try for once not to arrive with clouds of smoke billowing out from the brakes. That's strange, those levers shouldn't have been out of sync like that. Right, okay. So after this it's going to get a bit interesting again with the wrong line running and what have you. But we know about it this time, so it should be all good. Hi Devon, welcome. Very good, thanks. We've just had a series of PZB disasters, followed by not so many disasters. Oh shit, lock the doors. Focus, man, focus. Should really just use the shortcuts for some of this stuff. Right, this is the bit where it all went horribly, horribly wrong last time. Okay, so no monitoring, so we can just get up to speed. Nothing to acknowledge there. All the cool kids are playing Train Sim World, Devon. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Okay, so this one's at clear. We should be alright. Gonna wind it up a bit. Oh, in fact, no, Hosbach's fine. That's just a normal through stop. It's when we get to the last stop it all goes a bit squirrely. So a kilometre to run, we'll just get ourselves on the braking now. Just nice and gentle. You can leave it a lot later, I'm just being super cautious after that. The last time I came through here. Literally. And I think it's quite a short platform, this one as well. See, I'd have got away with that at one of the big main stations further along the line with the platform twice the length of this. Okay. Long Island Railroad. Aha, the very man. You could answer a question for us, please. Can you hear automated announcements from the cab of your train in Long Island Railroad? Because I can't remember if they're in it, and somebody was just asking about that. Oh, better turn that back to lock first. It's a wee bit confusing if you use this switch, because you have to remember to switch it to the doors you want to lock or unlock, and then turn the switch. It is actually much easier just to press the button on the keypad. Okay, so release the brakes, close your throttle and open it again. And then off we pop. And again, we're not setting off under any kind of monitoring, so here we go. We'll just wind it up. With one eye firmly on the signals ahead this time. Okay, so this is the maximum speed stretch of the line, very short, but I think this is actually leads us into signal hell. Be very careful, because PZB's absolute maximum limit in Modo is 165, and if you touch that, it takes a long time to stop and get going again from 165. So that's the first speed reduction signed to 150, which we don't need to acknowledge. It's up ahead, we need to start watching for signs and signals and whatnot. So there's, I think I'm about to see the first bit of yellow in a signal. So brake long before you have to, as soon as you see it. Acknowledge it as we go through it. Keeping on the brakes, get it down to about 60, because that's what the that's the sensible sort of speed to get to. What the fuck I was acknowledging there, just ignore that last one. So the 500 Hertz magnet has come on. I must be down to 45 or less within 150 meters, which I've now done. I also have to acknowledge the signal as I go through, because it is of course a distant signal at caution. Oh, in fact, that might have just been the repeater for the signal. Ah. The 1000 Hertz light never came on. So that bit underneath, I need to check again and see if there might be a light attached to that somewhere signifying it's actually a repeater. I would have expected to acknowledge that anyway if you see the all those yellows, because I would have expected that to need an acknowledgement. And the purpose of it is just to get you down to 40 kilometers per hour, it looks like. I'll confirm that at some point, but I'm fairly certain that's what it's being used for here. And we just ease it on in. Like a glove. Right, well, we'll just finish this up, and then... yeah, I'm going to fire up the old Long Island, I think, for a wee run. I wondered if you were still there, Stephen. You've been very, very quiet the whole duration of that. I wonder why. See what a difference it makes having half an idea that you're going to be going into the wrong line and all that sort of stuff. You at least know it's coming. You can sort of prepare for it. So I assume that'll be a constant of this service. You'll always be sent up that wee across the tracks like that. That's cool, man. It's a live stream. It's not supposed to go right. If it went right, it'd be shit all the time. Okay, I'm not going to wait 20 minutes for another train though. You can, in theory, just go up and down all day doing that. You know, quite often you get a much shorter gap between them. Oh. Rustling in the background is me discarding my pages of PZB speed tables and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to do a very quick run on Long Island because I haven't done that for absolutely ages. Let's just do a quick... Some of these are quite quick, aren't they? I'm not going to do the full length. Yeah, why not? Just do a wee quick one from there. Let's see if I can even remember how to set the damn cab up. I might need to cheat and use my keyboard a bit for this. Ah, this is a mile/hour train as well, isn't it? Right, not even going to try and remember where any of those buttons are. Markers on. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. There's not as much cool stuff here to play with anyway, is there, really? I don't think. Desk lights. Oh shit, yeah, I need to do something with a key, don't I? And then, what is it I need to do? I need to do something with the brakes, don't I? Oh yeah, that's right, I remember now. This is going to go well. What else have I forgotten to do? Where the hell have I got the reds on? Oh, because I've got the bloody markers turned on as well, don't I? Oh, crap. Right, what have I forgotten to do? Keys on, reversers and forward. What have I forgotten to do? It's not charging the brakes, isn't it? Oh man! Why did I get... What have I forgotten? I've definitely forgotten to do something. Yeah. Oh man. I'm going to need to get the manual. Where's my manual? Shit, man. This is like the easiest train in the game to drive. What's going on here? It'll be something really stupid I've forgotten to do as well. I want to say it's something to do with charging the brakes, but I can't remember. Right, let's see, where is my documents? I should have these more easily to hand than I do. Long Island Railroad. And I'm going to restart this scenario as well, because we're going to be miles behind, and the dynamic traffic doesn't do so well on these older routes. Yeah. Right, quick start guide, page 7. Ah, right, okay, I know what I didn't do. Fuck, idiot, Scott. What a tube. I had the brake lever in the wrong position, it was that simple. Okay, so we're in the required cab, turn the master key to the on position, set the reverser to the forward position, set the master controller to the max brake position, charge the brakes to at least 130 psi. And that's it. Allegedly. So we want to turn the... And it was this... Did they change? Yes, they changed it so the markers are on by default, didn't they? So that it looked... So we actually had the markers on. Right, this time hopefully we can we can get going. I can't hear any noise coming from out in the train. I ain't going to faff about with the keys and stuff on this. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so put the alerter and the ATC on. What could possibly go wrong? Turning on the safeties on a train I haven't driven in fucking ages. Anybody coming in now looking for main Spessart Bahn's going to be like, oh? Oh, I did what? Oh, Jesus. Damn right I'm doing that again. I need to turn the signals on. I don't understand American signals at all. Right. Ooh, horrible blockies. Right, so... Yes, please. So, master key on. Reverser forward. You to there. Charge the brakes. Good lord. Yeah, honestly, mate, I don't really understand their signal. Look, it's fucking white. How is white red? Do you know what? It makes no sense to me. Okay, they're shunt signals and they don't generally look the same as mainline signals anywhere, but... Yeah. Yeah, I need help with these. I'm terrible at these ones, I'm afraid. I saw white and thought, alright, okay, it's not red. I must be allowed to go through it, because that's... On the German and the UK railways, that would have been a clear. I'd have been allowed through there. Yeah. Right. But apparently, we've got a... I'll roll forward a little bit. Sometimes you have to get to a certain point to trigger them. And then we'll check the map and see if there's any traffic on its way. In fact, there's a train coming in, so that's what we're waiting for. Okay, so the difference between red and green is more whites. I think I'm definitely leaving the HUD on for this. Right, I think the couple of stations bunched up pretty close together, aren't they? And then really wish access worked here. Yeah, sort of meant to just keep you focused ahead. Most of them, actually, if you look like that, are the German the Talent 2. The way the window sort of and the whole cab is kind of sculpted to draw your eyes to the front. That's actually got quite a restrictive view as well. And the control cars, the 766, the 767, I feel are quite hemmed in sometimes. I have to admit, it's one of the reasons that I probably didn't drive this one as much as some of the others, though, was you can only see so much. I do like doing my driving from the cab view. Always found the timetables very difficult to keep to in this as well, unless you ignored the speed limits. I do like the sound of that though, that's kind of cool. It might be my imagination, but it definitely feels like they've tidied this up a little bit graphically. It just seems to run a little bit smoother than I remember. Can't remember at all what the braking action's like on these. I think it's fairly good though. Ah, it's alright. Okay. Well, got the whole thing on and didn't overrun, so that's a start. Doesn't always feel like there's much in the way of traffic on this line either, it has to be said. I feel like you go an awful long time without seeing other trains, considering this is one of the biggest cities in the flaming world. I mean, the New York MTA puts most national railways to shame with the amount of stuff it's got running on it. And yet you see maybe 2 or 3 sometimes out on the line when you're doing one of these runs. Hopefully be clear of the speed restriction soon. ATC usually releases you a signal, one of these invisible signals. We should get released from it now. You don't have go when you put the handle up though, that's for sure. Yeah, so the braking's actually alright on these. In fact, it's better than I thought. Oops. Really easy to go from max to emergency as well. I remember doing that a few times before. Alright when you're at a station because you can clear it quite easily, but pain in the arse if you do it out on the line. Oh, come on. Oh, because I have to recharge the fucking brakes, don't I? This is why you shouldn't really jump into one of these on a live stream when you haven't played with one in months. 857, no fucking way. Of course, I'm not used to a single-handle train either. I've been playing on German railways for quite a while now, mostly. Or with old British trains that have got separate brakes and throttle handles. None of your newfangled combined power piss here, thank you. Right. I'll try braking a wee bit later. Yeah, I can probably be way more aggressive on the brakes with this. Right. I don't even know how long this takes. I don't think it takes very long. In fact, I think we're non-stop once we're up onto the main line. We just barrel on through maybe Jamaica and then New York. Yes, I know it's not main Spessart Bahn. Sorry for anybody who came in much later. Right, didn't cock anything up that time, so we can just get underway this time. Floral Park, right. So I think that's maybe the last place we stop, and then you tend to get flung straight along the line. Hey, do like that noise. The alerter doesn't give you a huge amount of time in between either. It's not as long as 30 seconds, that's for sure. Again, it's an alerter that I find you couldn't always hear outside either, so again, be in the cab most of the time. There's the alerter now. And that would be where Access would have kicked my ass first before ATC came in there. But it's unfortunately, for whatever reason, not modelled. So sometimes you've got ATC telling you one thing and the line speed telling you something completely different. If I had to guess, they didn't put it in because they're still having problems with it in the, is it the East River tunnels that we go through in this? Can't remember what they're called. Because you have to turn it off on the NEC if you're using it down there. Right, so we join the main line now, and I think it might be a stop at Jamaica. And then New York. The thing I found with this route as well, yeah, it's got sort of 3 different routes within one. Awfully lot of it, that extra new route, just seems to be looking at the inside of tunnels though. It's nice having the variety, but when the variety kind of just all looks like the inside of a tunnel. Yeah, so we're stopping at... Oh, they're going to make us stop at every station, innit? There we go. Right, and unlike usually, I'm not making much of an attempt to explain what the different displays on the desk are doing and what the various components are, mainly because I'm struggling like hell to remember what the hell they all are myself. And as for the signals, I'm kind of relying on this thing up here because I've never really... I understand those ones a bit. I know that's a clear signal. Those are basically semaphore signals represented by lights. I kind of get them. But when they start chucking in signals that don't even have any frickin' red lights on them, combinations of red and yellow that can actually basically mean green and all that kind of thing. It gets confusing because there's so many different types of signalling in use on the same stretch of line as well. And I'm sure there are people out there that can do it, and fair play to them. I'm stumped. Right, that was very nearly the equivalent of a PZB bust. What happened there, but I caught it quickly enough. That was just ATC telling me slow the down. But ATC is reactive. You react to it when the alarm goes off, kind of thing. Because there's no trackside signage, and there's often no visual signal to tell you what it is. It's called remote signalling, I think, or cab signalling. But you do still have a time limit, and you do still have to acknowledge it when it comes on. The stops are much quicker in this, though. Ideal. Okay. Oh, it really is making me stop everywhere. First time I've ever done one of these that's actually made me stop everywhere. Okay, so the ATC limit is now 80, that's nice. Yeah, any other gripe I've got about signals, not understanding them, and any other things I moan about on the American routes, like safety systems not working, totally made up for by how awesome these things are. I'm going to stop now, because that gets annoying. Getting a wee bit braver with the brakes now. Oh, maybe a bit too brave. Oh, shit. Is some of the train still on? Oh, that's fair enough. Look at that. I couldn't have got the whole thing on. Screw it, I'm taking that. I don't care. Yes, I know it should be the first 4 cars and there's a special door group and all that crap. I'm taking it though. Yeah, we're not that far from the turn off to New York. Stop at Jamaica first. Fair distance to go as well. If I remember rightly, Jamaica's quite a big station with a fairly slow controlled approach into it. There's hills or something here as well, I think. No, in fact, no, the slope's over there on the left when you're coming up out the station in the other direction. It's been ages since I've been along here. And shock horror on time. More or less. That I didn't expect, I have to be honest. I have sometimes found the timings to be a bit funny on this this route though. You can be minutes late and then running at the speed limit, be minutes early at the next one. And of course being very careful not to go past the not red but don't go past it anyway signal at the end there. Not gonna lie either, that is such a huge difference. A tiny little thing like those back red lights being on by default really pleases me no end. Even though I almost never go back down there in the cameras or anything, it really always irritates me to know that that doesn't work. Right, next stop will be the last for the evening, I think, because I've been at this a lot longer than I intended to and I fired it up. Let's see if we can do the last stretch without any buggering anything up. And we can go past it. Looks pretty much like a stop, but doesn't mean stop signal. I need to stop that. I'm sure it's a very sensible system that makes complete and utter, you know, logical, reasonable sense to anyone once they understand it properly, and I just don't understand it. World's longest corner. I have no idea if these are the speed limits in reality or not. They just seem so... I mean, how knackered does a railway line have to be if trains are only allowed to do 10 miles an hour along it? I assume it's just for the long trains coming over that junction or something, actually. There's a point, these are quite long. Should get to go faster. No, maybe not now. Be the next one. Okay, so the speed limit goes up to 80 and get thundering along. Wonder how long it would take you living in that building to get used to these things going underneath every night when you're trying to sleep. Or is that a commercial building? I don't know. Looks like a big block of flats. Oh shit, 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 shit. Hey. I think it's just a fairly open, long stretch of track till we get to the tunnels. Oh, this is cool because you can actually, this is up here where it joins onto the northeast corridor, isn't it? There's definitely a bit more cab rock and sway going on here. I don't know how well that picks up on the stream, but certainly on the fair size screen I'm running on. Oh yeah, in fact they have, yeah, everything does look just a little bit nicer and a little bit smoother, and I think this has had some disappearing track. Oh. After all the nice things I was saying about it and the track disappears. That kind of sums up the whole evening so far really though, I think. One of these days I really do need to get myself a big book of American railway signals and try and figure some of this stuff out. I do know a few of them, as I say, but... Of course, a lot of them along here are not actual physically there. Oh crap, speed limits. See, access would have kicked in back there if it was fitted. Well, we've got 8 minutes to cover the length of those tunnels. Okay, and past it looks very much like stop, but apparently isn't signal. Yeah, I'm not going to let that one go. I don't really remember any of this. I've got no idea of what's... Ah, right, so this is where we join onto the northeast corridor. America's busiest rail junction or something. Right, then I think it was just a run down the tunnel. And then... that'll be us. Yeah, these signals here are completely different to the ones on the out on the Long Island Railroad. Kind of know what a couple of these ones mean from. I vaguely remember them from the NEC, but. Don't really. I wouldn't even attempt to drive it without the little signal aspect thing up there. To be honest, I wouldn't even attempt the NEC without it. Truth be told. Tunnels definitely look better in this than they did in NEC, that's for sure. I'd forgotten how long this one was as well. Right, okay. Just watching the speed as you come down here, and then about halfway down, it suddenly goes uphill. There we go. We're going uphill now. You can see the tunnel kind of bend up in front of you. If you're paying attention, it's very, very gradual effect, but it is there if you're watching for it. Can see light at the end of the tunnel, or is it just a missing bit of tunnel? and just make sure to draw up before you get to the stop signal, which for once actually looks like a stop signal. Okay. So nice quick passenger unload times. Do like that. I think they go on for far too long on some of these. We'll just lock the doors. That'll complete the scenario. Yeah, not bad considering I've not played on that line in, I don't know, since before North Transpennine came out at least. Yeah, I'll take that. And that's probably a good place to call the stream for the night. That's gone on a bit longer than intended to, and we went a few more places than I was thinking as well when I set out. So as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you again another time. White stop signals indeed.